Hello and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. This is Verdict 2013. I'm Frank Pereira. Here are the latest headlines. Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi address rallies in Rajasthan a day ahead of campaigning ends for assembly polls. Take pot shots at each other's parties. Despite high ratio of women voters, political parties show apathy in selecting women as candidates in Rajasthan. And Aam Aadmi Party releases first set of constituency-level manifestos for Delhi polls, comes out with their strategy in 28 constituencies. First up in the bulletin, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi today addressed a rally in Rajasthan's Banswara district. He accused the BJP of ignoring the poor and said that the only thing the opposition party is ahead of is in indulging in corruption. Addressing a gathering of around 30,000 people, he said that states ruled by BJP like Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh are way ahead in corruption. He contended that this time elections are not about fights between parties but between two different ways of thinking. He said that the focus of the Congress is not only on infrastructure development but also on launching welfare schemes for the poor. He recalled employment guarantee schemes, food security bill, Right to Education Act and several other public welfare projects initiated by the centre. He also praised the welfare schemes launched by the Gehlot government in Rajasthan.
₹3 चावल, ₹2 में गेहूं, ₹1 में अनाज। और ये नहीं कि भाई हम किसी जात को देंगे, किसी धर्म को देंगे, किसी को नहीं देंगे। अगर गरीब है तो उसको मिलेगा भोजन। और गहलोत जी ने उससे भी ज्यादा कर दिया। गहलोत जी ने कहा छोड़ो, ₹1, ₹2, ₹3 छोड़ो। गहलोत जी ने कहा राजस्थान में मुफ्त में दिया जाएगा।
Meanwhile, BJP's Prime Ministerial candidate Narendra Modi addressed a rally in Rajasthan's Sikar, the same place where Congress President Sonia Gandhi addressed a rally yesterday. Now, Modi attacked the Congress, alleging that it has not fulfilled its constitutional obligations and destroyed the nation in its nearly 6 decades of rule. He also slammed the UPA chairperson Sonia Gandhi for claiming to have made laws in favor of the poor but not implementing them on ground. He said that the UPA government humiliated the poor of the country when it did not even listen to the Supreme Court and allowed several thousand tons of wheat to rot at railway stations. He also brought up the issue of interlinking of rivers in the country. He said that if the UPA worked on the dream project of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, districts such as Sikar would have been able to produce more through increased irrigation facilities.
हम पिछले 5 साल सूक्ष्मदर्शक यंत्र लेकर के राजस्थान की सरकार खोज रहे थे, कहां है, कहां खो गई है, किस कोने में छिप गई है। हम परेशान हैं, नजर नहीं आते, कहां गए।
Well, campaigning in Rajasthan for assembly elections is at its peak. A lot of factors, including caste combination, have been the basis of selection of candidates. But the political parties seem to have overlooked women, with just 167 given tickets out of 2,096 candidates in the fray. Here's a report by our correspondent Vishal Dahiya from the desert state.
Rajasthan is all set to go for polls on 1st December. Political parties are trying their best to woo voters in the desert state, especially women. This should not come as a surprise since the number of women voters in the state is nearly 2 crore out of roughly 4 crore total voters.
Even the sex ratio of 926 females per 1,000 males in Rajasthan is lower than the national average of 940. While only 146 women candidates have so far made it to the assembly since 1952. Interestingly, the richest candidate in these elections is a woman.
It comes down to approximately 898 female voters per 1,000 male, which is slightly lesser than the ratio of the last assembly elections when the figure was 906 women voters per 1,000 males. When it comes to putting up women candidates, both Congress and the BJP seems to be sailing in the same boat. The number of women candidates from Congress in 2008 was 23. It has increased marginally to 24 this year. BJP had given tickets to 32 women in 2008, but this time the number has come down to 26. Interestingly, 13 women candidates, each from both parties, won the elections in 2008. While Congress claims credit for giving adequate representation to women in local body elections, BJP says winning ability is the sole criteria for selection of candidates.
50% उसका करने का उद्देश्य यही था कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा महिलाएं इस प्रजातंत्र में राजनीति के अंदर सक्रिय भूमिका निभाएं। देखिए उनके पास क्योंकि इस सरकार के खिलाफ बोलने के लिए एक भी मुद्दा नहीं है। 5 साल उन्होंने कभी कुछ बोला नहीं।
पार्टी के पदों पे आज भी महिलाएं 33% हैं, लेकिन जब हम चुनाव में जाते हैं तो एक सबसे बड़ा प्रश्न ये होता है कि कैंडिडेट जीतने वाला होना चाहिए। कांग्रेस ने पिछली बार भी कम दिए, इस बार भी कम दिए। भारतीय जनता पार्टी आज भी उसमें आगे।
Women voters, especially the younger lot, are very active this time. They are participating in voter awareness programs across the state. But they also rue the fact that they have got inadequate representation once again in assembly elections.
महिलाओं को आगे से आगे बढ़ना चाहिए और है ना ज्यादा से ज्यादा महिलाओं को रहना चाहिए।
मैं बड़ी होके मैं भी कोशिश करूंगी नेता बनने की।
होना तो चाहिए, वैसे राजस्थान में भी ज्यादा होना चाहिए, पर मतलब लेडीज और गर्ल्स को ऐसे कम दिया हुआ है, ये लोगों ने सीटें कम दी हुई है।
The number of women candidates may be less in these elections, but some of the famous faces in all political parties are women only. BJP's chief ministerial candidate Vasundhara Raje, Congress Party's Beena Kak, NPP's Golma Devi, and former Speaker Sumitra Singh are some of them. Interestingly, BJP is actually hoping to return to power under a woman leader, the former Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje. With camera person DK Pandey, Vishal Dahiya, Raj Sabha TV, Jaipur.
Well, our correspondent Vishal Dahiya joins us for more on the phone line of this story right now. Vishal, what's being attributed to so few women being given tickets in the state of Rajasthan? Vishal, if you can hear me, of course, what's being attributed as the main reason as to why so few women are being given tickets in Rajasthan?
Well, Rick, yes, I can hear you. The main reason which the political party seems to be saying, and some of them, upfront as well, like the BJP spokesperson whom we spoke to, is the fact that these parties say that winnability is the only criteria on which basis the tickets are being distributed. And then let's not forget about the caste combination in the state of Rajasthan. And given the fact that there is not much of a difference between the vote share of BJP and Congress, and their fight has always been to neck. It was a very close contest last time as well, and this time around also it seems to be a very close contest. So none of the parties, that is specifically the Congress and BJP, the two main parties, are willing to take chances of fielding women candidates whose winnability might be under question. So that is why we see the so few women candidates. And if you look at the figures, as was evident in my story, it's really a very different situation for women, a difficult one as well as far as politics is concerned. The figures then speak for it. Only 146 candidates since 1952. That has been more than half a decade since the state started, electing. The people of the state started electing their representatives. In addition to that, percentage-wise, only 14% of the total assembly strength in 2008 was women, and this time around, the number of contesting candidates has even gone down below 10%. So it seems that when it comes to elections, it's politics, it's the winnability criteria which actually matter to both the parties. And then once the elections are won, it seems we can go back to the drawing board and start making plans for the much talked about 33% reservation for women.
All right, Vishal Daya, thank you so much for joining us there with all those details and bringing us up to date with the latest. Moving on now, the Aam Aadmi Party has released the first 28 of its 70 constituency-level manifestos, which it claimed will act as a ready reference for party representatives to focus on problem areas. Now, the roadmap for the party's policy making was constituted at two levels. Issues related to the city were discussed in the Delhi manifesto, and local level issues form the basis of constituency-level manifestos. AAP volunteers and members went to various localities in each constituency and gathered information on a number of policy issues: public service provision, the state of housing, transport systems, employment, issues concerning minorities and several others. Now, the findings from these background studies were used to develop sector-specific proposals, which later came out as the city-level manifesto that was finally released on November 21st. The party's idea of coming out with 70 constituency-wise manifestos was also adopted by its rival, the BJP, which came out with a manifesto for Model Town Assembly constituency. Well, the Election Commission in Delhi has issued notices to 5 candidates for suspected paid news and advertisement in print media and social media websites. Now, the District Media Certification and Monitoring Committee directed returning officers of the respective assembly constituencies to issue notices to BJP candidate Jay Prakash from Sadar Bazar and Congress candidate Sushil Gupta from Moti Nagar for suspected paid news. The poll panel seeks their response within 24 hours. Besides, 3 candidates have also been issued notices for advertisement on social media websites without certification. These candidates are BJP's Suman Kumar Gupta, Congress's Prahlad Singh Soni and Rajesh Lilothia. The committee also directed the candidates to withdraw the advertisement material from websites. Well, the Election Commission has also reprimanded BJP MLAs Vishwas Sarang from Madhya Pradesh for violating the Model Code of Conduct by announcing a grant of 1 lakh rupees to a temple. Now, the Commission had issued a notice to the MLA on November 12th for allegedly giving 1 lakh rupees to the temple on October 27th and asked him to explain by November 15th as to why action should not be initiated against him. The Commission said that it was not convinced by the explanation given by him. According to the Model Code of Conduct, all parties shall avoid activities which are corrupt practices and offences under the election law. Well, it's time for a short break now, but we'll be right back, to stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Verdict 2013. The tribal sub-plan region gains importance in the upcoming assembly elections because of its tribal population and caste politics in Rajasthan. Here's a look at various electoral promises made by political parties and people's woes in Dungarpur.
The district Dungarpur is named after the town of hillocks and the capital of the former princely state of Dungarpur. It is located in the southern part of Rajasthan. Being a Congress stronghold, the BJP is struggling hard to establish their power in this area. The party hopes that Narendra Modi's extensive campaigning and his popularity will play a major role in turning the tide.
जिस तरह से कांग्रेस ने जो वादे किए थे उसमें युवा वर्ग पूरा नाराज है। वो क्योंकि न तो कोई नौकरी मिला है, न कोई ऐसा कोई धंधा मिला और मैक्सिमम लोग हैं जो ओवरेज हो गए। दूसरी बात क्या है कि पूरा देश का युवा सारे लोग नरेंद्र भाई मोदी को चाहते हैं प्रधानमंत्री।
Congress too is also geared up to get a sweeping victory this time. Categorized under the tribal sub-plan region, Dungarpur has more than 61% of tribal population. Caste politics play a major role in elections in this tribal area. The Gehlot government has recently promised reservation for OBCs in the TSP area. The party feels it will also give an edge to the Congress.
नेतृत्व में काम कर रही है, वो बेहतरीन तरीके से हिंदुस्तान में सबसे बेहतरीन लोक कल्याणकारी योजना के काम कर रही है।
NPP is also fielding their candidate in Dungarpur. The Kirori Lal Meena factor cannot be neglected in a place like Dungarpur, where caste plays a major role during polls. The NPP is expected to cut into the vote banks of both the BJP and the Congress.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने इसको एक चैलेंज के रूप में डूंगरपुर जिले को उस विधानसभा सीट को लिया है। हर बूथ स्तर पे मतलब जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नारा था 1 booth 10 youth।
However, Gehlot's people-friendly schemes in the state seems not to have percolated to the ground level. People's woes are many. unemployment, electricity, education, and most importantly, drinking water. If Bhilwara is paying the price for being an industrial hub, people here want more industrial development.
चारों चार सीटें कांग्रेस की हैं। मैं आपको विश्वास के साथ कहता हूं कि चारों चार सीट फिर जीतेंगे। यहां पर किसी प्रकार की कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी।
UPA's flagship programs like Manrega and food security still have a few grey areas in this region. While Dungarpur needs approximately 5,000 metric tons of wheat to feed people, the region is only allotted 3,000 metric tons per month. It's a shortage of approximately 2,000 metric tons of wheat.
Before the Narega, from Dungarpur districts, at least 60% laborers are going to the Ahmedabad for the work, while the Narega is implemented here. So 60%, out of 60%, only 10% labor is going to the Gujarat.
In the tribal belt of Dungarpur, the number of scheduled caste electors are the least, 4.15%, followed by Banswara, where it's 4.28%. In Udaipur, the number of SC voters is 6.01%.
Dungarpur Assembly seat is the only constituency from where no other party except Congress has won since 1952. The same issues like the water, electricity and unemployment still remains a major issue in this region also. Manrega schemes and PDS is very effective here, but still people complains of unemployment in this region. With camera person Gajendra, Neetu Eldos, Dungarpur, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, illegal tyre recycling units around Dungarpur are said to be one of the major reasons of pollution of drinking water in the region. People here have to travel long distances to get clean water. Despite a government order to shut down, these factories continue to run the recycling units. It has led to reduction in agricultural production and health-related issues for voters in the area. Here's a report.
12-year-old Sandhya carries 2 big bottles of water to her school in Bichiwada village in Dungarpur district along the Gujarat-Rajasthan border. The school provides regular midday meal for Sandhya, but there is no provision for clean drinking water. Water that comes out of the hand pump in the school premises is reddish-brown in color. It's the result of the tyre recycling factories which are still operational in this region.
इधर टायर की फैक्ट्री चल रही है इसलिए पानी नहीं मिलता है। यहाँ के पानी की बहुत समस्या है। बच्चों के लिए हैंडपंप की व्यवस्था है पर पानी नहीं है, सही नहीं आ रहा है।
At least 6 tyre pyrolysis plants of Frico in Bichiwada have been asked to stop operations by the State Pollution Control Board few months before. Tyre recycling plants remain shut during daytime. However, few of them are still operational during the night. These factories were found flouting the Water Act 1971 and the Air Act 1981.
हमारे मैडम राज्यपाल आए, इन्होंने यहाँ मैडम बंद करवाया, लेकिन रात को कभी-कभी रात चुपके के यहाँ के लोग ये फैक्ट्री वाले टायर वाले हैं वो चलाते हैं।
Tyre pyrolysis plants recycle used tyres by burning them for extracting tyre oil, carbon black and steel. Local administration said that these factories were originally situated in Maharashtra and Gujarat, but they relocated to Rajasthan after the respective state governments ordered to stop operations. The untreated wastewater from these plants has led to pollution of underground water in this region.
Right behind me, you could see the pile of tyres over there, and after recycling, these tyres are being recycled, and after that, the waste water which comes out of it, this you can see it's been collected over here, and this is the kind of water that comes out of these industries, and these are being sent directly to the underground. Just because of that, water over here is really polluted.
टायर रात्रे दिवस से पिघलता है तो हमारा ये गांव में बहुत हानिकारक नुकसान होता है। पानी भी बिगड़ जाता है, खराब हो गया पानी भी, खाने के पीने के लिए बहुत परेशानी रहती है।
लगभग तो हमारे कांग्रेस की सरकार ने पूरा कर दिए हैं, लेकिन हमारी जो खास मांग है, एक बिछवाड़ा में कॉलेज की है, उसके बाद में एक सोम कमला का पानी लाना है, काटाल क्षेत्र में पानी लाना है और चिकित्सा सुविधा की कुछ बातें हैं।
Agricultural land in this region is all covered up by white salty patches. Local people suffer from various health issues. Pungent smell of burning tyres spread around 2-kilometer radius of the factory. Local people inhale the poisonous air every day. Villagers of Bichiwada, which lies in the tribal belt of Dungarpur, has already presented a memorandum to Rajasthan governor in September. With Neetu Eldos in Bichiwada, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, UPA's flagship program, the Food Security Bill, was passed just a few months ahead of the assembly elections in 5 states. The Congress feels the scheme could be a shot in the arm while trying to woo voters. But the efficiency of implementing it by reaching to people in rural areas still remains a matter of concern. Here's a ground report from the tribal belt of Udaipur in Rajasthan.
Even as the centre is preparing to tie up public distribution system with Aadhaar card, many in tribal belt of Udaipur do not even own a ration card. Few others who own it are unaware of various schemes and provisions of food security program that the UPA government has introduced recently. This woman belongs to a BPL category. She lives in Dodawali, a tribal village 28 kilometers away from the hustle and bustle of Udaipur city. She admits that her family gets 25 kgs of wheat for 2 rupees or at times for 5 rupees. She is actually entitled for 35 kgs of wheat or rice for just 1 rupees under these schemes.
सड़कें बनवा देंगे, आपके लिए हम पेंशन योजना लागू कर देंगे और झूठे-झूठे कितने भी वायदे करके जाते हैं और उसके बाद में जीतने के बाद में यहाँ आने का नाम नहीं, वापस इलेक्शन आते हैं और आ जाते हैं.
Latest report of the Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices Estimate exposed the dismal progress in improving the targeted public distribution system. As per the latest statistics, pilferage is the highest in Bihar, West Bengal, Assam and Rajasthan.
मेरे समय में जिस समय रोड भी नहीं थी तो भी मैंने जैसे तैसे ऊँटों पे लाके भी यहाँ में राशन वितरण किया. मैंने अंत्योदय के लेके रहे, अंत्योदय वाले किसी को 35 किलो नहीं दे रहे हैं, जब नेम तो उसका 35 किलो का है.
खाना इजीली मिल रहा है और अब तो फूड सिक्योरिटी बिल मिल गया है, लागू भी हो गया हमारी राजस्थान में, तो इजीली अवेलेबल है. कुछ खेती ये लोग करते भी हैं लेकिन पानी की थोड़ी यहाँ पर कमी है, इसलिए खेती थोड़ी कम होती है.
The National Food Security Act was launched in Rajasthan by the Gehlot government on 2nd October and had been implemented effectively from October 20th. PDS distributes subsidized food and non-food items to people belonging to BPL category, State BPL, Antyodaya Anna Yojana, Annapurna and above poverty line consumers. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Udaipur, also known as the city of lakes, has developed into a thriving city with all modern amenities. But the lack of proper traffic system is a pain the people are living with for years now. Traffic chaos in the city is one of the major concerns for voters in Udaipur. Here's what they have to say.
With growing traffic problems in Udaipur, the citizens are in desperate need of flyovers. For years, a 1,580-meter-long flyover has been proposed in the city, but the city's Traders Association has protested against it. They believe the construction of the flyover will reduce the road from 60 feet to 34 feet, which will cause parking problems and disorder in the market area. They have taken the matter to the court.
हमने ये सजेशन दिया था सरकार को और हमारे कोर्ट में भी हम गए तो हमने यही प्रपोजल दिया था कि जो फ्लाईओवर बनना चाहिए थे उसके रूट चेंज किया जाए और 90 डिग्री के कर्ण का फ्लाईओवर बनने से वहां पर ऊपर बाधित हो जाएगा, प्रॉब्लम होगी.
The city does not have buses to ply on. People travelling around the city are at the mercy of auto rickshaws. Lack of parking space and long traffic queues at crossings are some of the daily problems faced in Udaipur. With the flyover project still in cold storage, there is no hope for improvement in the situation.
हमारे जो पिछले कुछ टाइम से हमारे जवान कम थे उसमें हम एक्स्ट्रा जवान लगा रहे हैं. संभव होता है तो हम इसको वन वे में कई बार तब्दीली कर देते हैं. ट्रैफिक के दबाव के अनुसार हम इसमें कार्य करते हैं.
उदयपुर के अंदर ट्रैफिक की इतनी अव्यवस्था है कि यहाँ पे हर आदमी ट्रैफिक से परेशान है क्योंकि सभी चौराहे चारों तरफ से जाम हो जाते हैं. आदमी जाए तो किधर जाए, ना तो कोई फ्लाईओवर की व्यवस्था है यहाँ पे, ना किसी प्रकार की पुलिस की तरफ से कोई व्यवस्था होती है कि किसी ट्रैफिक को डाइवर्ट किया जाए.
The construction of the elevated road is also causing a lot of problems. Till now, around 38 crore rupees have been spent on its construction and the estimated cost is expected to be around 120 crores. Drishti Gupta, Rajya Sabha TV, Udaipur.
Well, Banswara in Rajasthan is known for its textile industries, but the shortage of land, water and skilled labour in the last 15 years has forced spinning units of the textile industry to shift to Banswara. But people in Banswara are not satisfied with the move. Here's why.
Despite being a bigger region than Banswara, Bhilwara is losing out to its neighbour. Due to shortage of land in Rajasthan Industrial Development and Investment Corporation region, the textile industry has no scope to expand further. Problem of water shortage has also forced the textile industries to shift to nearby Banswara.
Textile mill needs lot of water to dye the either fabric or the yarn or the fiber, whatever you dye, because finally it has to be in colors. So you need lot of water. And Bhilwara does not have so much water left. Whatever resources the Banas River or whatever were there, they have been tapped. And then apart from the shortage of water, they have also problem of effluent discharge.
Locals in Banswara are disappointed by the fact that despite the shifting of industries in their region, people have not got employment and the infrastructure has failed to develop.
एक ज़माना ऐसा था जब भिलवाड़ा में पानी बहुत था और अपने घरों में 24 घंटे नल आते थे, लेकिन आज पानी की प्रॉब्लम होने से जो इंडस्ट्रीज है, कपड़ा उद्योग है, उसको पानी की आवश्यकता ज़्यादा होती है। डेवलपमेंट में तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर का ध्यान कम ही रहता है, अपने निजी डेवलपमेंट ज़्यादा होते हैं, सीधी सी बात है।
In order to provide employment and develop the basic infrastructure, government is trying to make Banswara a power hub. With no water scarcity, more textile industries are moving to the region. Their numbers are only expected to grow further in coming days. At this rate, Banswara faces unplanned growth in the region, which may lead to further problems and angst among voters.
There is a mass exodus of industries from Bhilwara to Banswara in Rajasthan. Just because of these water issues, the people over there are facing in Bhilwara. But the main problem is about the treatment of the waste which comes out of these factories. Unless and until the government introduce some schemes to treat the waste in these regions, the real industrial development will not be possible in this region also. With camera person Gajendra, Neetu Eldos, Banswara, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it on this edition of Verdict 2013. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.